We've been rocking since the Sandbox, man. Stop playing with my dog, Scuba Steve. He the man, got plans, bro, to give him what you need. Hot damn, from the court to the field, they elite. I'm saying why, yes, got the hot takes and loose, stay checking. Talking about all the highlights from alleys to interceptions, from tutties to dope receptions and fantasy week projections. And honestly think you gotta tune in to get the message. Let's go.
Since the Sandbox fans, what is going on? We are back with our top 25. Me and Twan gave you guys the rest of our positional ranking series today, so make sure you guys get all caught up with the positional rankings. We just ran through the running backs and the quarterbacks. We have a lot of guests coming on the show. We had Kyle Arrington, Coach David Thorpe, president and co-founder of DraftKings, Matt Kalish, will be coming on the show next week. A lot of content to get caught up with since the Sandbox, keeping you guys locked in for the off season. We're going to continue the top 25, starting here at 15. This is where we have Max Crosby. So a lot of you guys might say, why is Max Crosby on this list? But guys, this is one of the best defensive linemen in the entire NFL. His motor, his relentlessness, absolutely, vital, to having a lot of success, and his stats are just here to, back that up. So Max Crosby had 89 total tackles, 12.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 4 pass deflections, 20 tackles for loss. So an absolutely crazy number. You never see, a lot of that impact translate in the running game and the passing game. But Max Crosby having an impact on both. He also has a blocked kick. And let's keep in mind that we're talking about, this is a 4th round pick. So we're not seeing, one of these guys that were drafted within, the first 20 picks. This was a guy that was just brought along to, start, that John Gruden and Mike Mayock era, and this has definitely been a standstill throughout. His Pro Football Focus grade was a 90, which is absolutely tremendous. So gotta show some love, some respect. They also have Chandler Jones on that defensive line, but Max Crosby was one of the brightest spots for the Raiders, along with Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. At number 14 on the list, a lot of you can argue that this might be a little bit too low. This is where we have a quarterback. This is Joe Burrow here on the ranking. So Joe Burrow had a completion percentage of a 68.3. Joe Burrow passed for 25 yards shy of 4,500 yards. He had 35 touchdowns, which is tied the second most for passing touchdowns with Josh Allen. He had a 100.8 passer rating and a 58.7 QBR. Joe Burrow's leadership and impact for the Bengals goes far beyond the numbers. He had 6 games with 3+ passing touchdowns. So, you're talking about a third of the season where they're putting up at least 21 points in the air without considering any other factors in football. And his Pro Football Focus grade was a 90.8, almost perfect. Joe Burrow, I wouldn't be surprised going into next year if this is a guy that we mentioned inside the top 5 of these rankings. He's absolutely that good, and his ceiling is that high. Joe Burrow here at 14. At 13, we have a defensive-heavy ranking for this 15 through 11. We had Max Crosby already. Now we have Chris Jones, defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris Jones had 44 total tackles, 15.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 pass deflections, and 5.5 tackles for loss. He had a Pro Football Focus grade of a 92, and we're talking about the anchor of the Kansas City defense, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs defense. Chris Jones was with the Honey Badger in Kansas City. This was a guy that was debated to, really have that type of an impact. But Frank Clark and Chris Jones have absolutely, been standstill leaders for that defense. And we're adding Nick Bolton to that list. I wouldn't be surprised if Trent McDuffie continues on that trend going forward. At 12, this is where we have one of the best playmakers in the NFL. This is A.J. Brown here on the ranking. So just outside of the top 10, he had 88 receptions this year for 4 yards shy of 1,500 yards. He had 1,496 receiving yards. He had 11 touchdowns on the year and average yards per catch of 17 yards. That's absolutely crazy. To add on to that impact, A.J. Brown had 59 first downs on the year on 88 catches. In the games that Philly won by 15+, A.J. Brown had 7 touchdowns. So it just goes to show you when this guy is involved in the game, how much better that Philly team is. 7 of 11 touchdowns coming in 15+ point victories. Can't say enough about that. A.J. Brown here at 12. At 11, this is where we have running back Saquon Barkley. So a lot of you might give me some hate on this one. He shouldn't be above A.J. Brown. He might not even been a better running back than Austin Eckler or Josh Jacobs. But I would love to debate you on that just when it comes down to impact and value that they really provided for their team. The Giants aren't a playoff team this year without Saquon Barkley. Regardless of how good the defense played, regardless of how good Daniel Jones played, Saquon, had the 4th most carries in the entire NFL this year. And his impact didn't just stop with rushing the ball. It absolutely translated in the receiving game, and we'll get a little bit more into that. But Saquon Barkley having his 3rd best career season following, his rookie year in the NFL and his 2nd year in the league with the Giants. But this year, Saquon Barkley had 295 rushes, 1,312 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, 62 first downs just on the ground. And then when you add on and you consider, the receiving impact, he had 57 receptions for 338 receiving yards, averaging, 4.5 yards per carry. That's an absolutely tremendous number for somebody that people would say, is injury plagued. And now Saquon Barkley is about to get the bag from the New York Giants. He's about to get a long-term contract along with Daniel Jones. So it's going to be really interesting to see, what the future success really holds for the New York Giants. I'm going to run down the list really quickly. Once again, this is a defensive-heavy list. We got Max Crosby here at 15, Joe Burrow at 14, Chris Jones here at 13, A.J. Brown at 12, and Saquon Barkley here at 11. Guys, you already heard 15 picks, the 25 through 11. If you haven't heard, the 25 through 16 yet, make sure you guys are going to get caught up. You need to hear the whole list. It's really important where we have these guys in the standings and how we really value them throughout the NFL. But I'm really excited to get into the top 10. I do have a lot of defensive players. I have 1 offensive lineman on the list, a couple quarterbacks left on the list. So I think you guys are really going to like what we have going on. But you guys know the deal. We have a lot of content coming for you guys, so make sure you guys are getting caught up. Stay in tune. Peace, love, and 5 stars. We'll see you for the top 10 real soon.